Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Crusty Canuck podcast. And it's beautiful July 16th, 2019. Today's episode, we're going to be discussing the whole Press for Freedom in England, hosted by the English government and the Canadian government, as well as more white supremacy BS, so-called racist tweets, and more. Stay tuned for the Crusty Canuck podcast. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Crusty Canuck, and this is the Crusty Canuck podcast for July 16th, 2019. As I mentioned in the intro, today's episode will consist my commentary on the whole Press for Freedom conference hosted by the UK government and the Canadian government, with, of course, Miss Krista Freeland and every other liberal moron weighing in on that. The so-called Trump racist tweet and more BS from the Liberal Party and what they're really trying to do with, the Canadian voters. So I'll start off with the Press for Truth. Now, there's been a conference in Britain, or there was a conference in Britain, in regards to Press for Freedom. I'll put up a website here in my description in regards to what it was all about. So basically, it was just a conference hosted by the British government and the Canadian government in discussing media freedom, press, and all that good stuff. And concerning all the media hoopla that has been going on in our country, Canada, as well as the United States and the rest of the world for that matter, it's about time they have a conference. Now, I'll be adding videos and other descriptions from other sources in regards to said conference. But it's funny how when you watch some of these videos and how some of these clowns are sitting there all high and mighty and hoity-toity and talking about how important it is to be free to express this and express that. Yet the same people that are hosting said conference, Canadian and British alike, have censored the likes of Tommy Robinson, have censored the rebel media, have tried to censor True North media and other independent units out there who are just trying to get stories out, ladies and gentlemen. Right? Now, Press for Freedom. It shouldn't be an issue. Unfortunately, it is, just like free speech is an issue. Freedom of association is an issue. Right? In our democracy, it's a fundamental right, is it not? Do we have to keep looking at the Charter of Rights and Freedoms to see what we're allowed to say and what we're allowed to do? Right? I'll leave a video in my description there in regards to what the rebel media went through, in regards to being allowed to access and to see and hear Miss Freeland speak at said conference. The level of arrogance that she promotes, ladies and gentlemen, the level of arrogance and elitism that she promotes every time she is on camera. And I'll leave proof in the description again. Regardless of how you feel about rebel media, True North media, or any independent media for that matter, doesn't matter if they lean left or lean right or center or up north or south, you don't have to listen to what they have to say. You don't have to read what they type or display. You don't. But if you're going to sit there and advocate something called Press for Freedom or media freedom, you have to allow people to come in and hear what you have to say. Now, there'll be a video I'll be adding here. There was one of Freeland's handlers. Basically came into a room saying, okay, we've got room for CBC, CTV, Al Jazeera, and so and so and so and so, but not no room for rebel media or True North. Now, what gets me about that little video is the fact that all the mainstream media representatives there said, oh, really? You're going to do that to these guys? Well, if you're going to do that, then we're not going to go ourselves. Now, I'm thinking, gee, that's really professional. Well done on that. Regardless of what the mainstream media has done or has been doing or will be doing, that professional decorum was fucking outstanding. Really. Like, brilliant as far as I'm concerned. And that's the way it should be. That's the same courtesy you should be giving every other media outlet. It doesn't matter what your political stance is or what you believe in or how someone's hair looks on fucking camera. Let's look at the professionalism that those journalists did for rebel media. Good for them. Well done in that. I'll leave a video in the description there. But if you're going to promote a conference and talk about freedom and expression, why the hell would you not allow a certain branch of media come into your show or come into your forum or discussion, right? It kind of fucking reminds me of the old high school fucking clique faction that we all went through, right? Well, you're not cool enough here, so I don't want you there. Well, you don't look like this, so I don't want you here. Basically what it is. And Miss Freeland, well, fuck you, really. You want to sit there and promote all this gender parity bullshit, this feminism bullshit, equal rights bullshit, freedom of press bullshit, and then you're denying access to a couple of news factions that you don't agree with, right? News factions that you call white supremacist, right? To further your fucking agenda. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'll leave a video in the description about that later, how she talks about white supremacy as being such a big thing in this country. I don't see any fucking Nazis marching in the streets. I don't see any Nationalist Party representatives marching in the streets, waving any kind of swastikas or doing the old Sieg Heil salute, right? It just goes to prove that this little government will sit there and say and do anything and flail and flail and flail and flail just to get votes and get attention, right? Lie to the people. Like Miss Freeland, do you really think that a lot of us Canadians are idiots, right? Do you think that most Canadians need a university degree in bullshit to get ahead in today's world? Huh? You come from a rich background yourself, sunshine, okay? And considering that your background basically is business journalism, quote-unquote journalism, is there not any kind of professional integrity that you carry from that? Can you not extend that courtesy to other people? Right? Yes, Rebel Media has called Climate Barbie. But the Rebel Media is owned and operated by a Jewish man, you know, and, white supremacists, as far as I know, don't really get along with Jewish people. So to sit there and label him as a white supremacist because he is actually using the rights that this country gives us is pretty fucking weak, right? And considering you're supposed to be an educated lady and representing trade and business and everything that this country has to offer, and really you're not doing a very good job. Your professional decorum sucks. And I've said that about every other liberal leader that's been on the world stage trying to claim all these phantoms and all these sexists and all these racists and all these polluters. Okay? So get off your high horse, open up the fucking door, and let people walk in. Metaphorically, that is. Okay? Days are numbered, lady. You're done. Right? I, for one, am getting sick and tired of hearing you take this platform and constantly ridicule Canadians. And you have. You've ridiculed Canadians. You have sat there and you've pointed the finger, you've race baited, you pull this victim card, and it's really starting to piss a lot of us off. So stop fucking with our rights. If you don't like this certain group, you don't have to like it. There's lots of groups that I don't like. But guess what? They've got the right to speak. Just like you do, just like Rebel Media, just like True North Media, just like Joe Blow down the road, or just like this guy up here, and just like myself, Krusty Canuck. You don't have to listen to what I have to say. You don't have to listen to what the Rebel says, or what True North says. But for God's sakes, woman, and your cabinet, and your staff, and your handlers, get the fuck out of people's way. There's a shitstorm of brewing here when it comes to freedom of speech, freedom of press, association, and freedom of thought. And all you guys are doing, you just keep adding fuel to the fire, right? From every comment that you have made from the Bill Maher show talking about how diversity is strength, and you'll sit there and back up any honor killing. When you sat there and you told the media how, the Chinese call Justin Trudeau potato, right? It wasn't a term of endearment. They were insulting him, right? And then you sitting there with your so-called identity politics. Oh, it's white supremacist if you do this. It's white supremacist if you do that. Let's just hop on the bandwagon and call everything white supremacist and racist, shall we? You know, if I lift my right leg and I fart, would that make me a fascist or a communist? Which is it? Tell me. You got all the answers, right? Yeah, well, I'm done fucking talking to microphone worrying about you. Fuck you, you're done in October. Press for freedom, ladies and gentlemen. Press for freedom. All the power to them, you know? And I'll leave the videos at the end of my description here, and I'll let you decide. All right? Tell me what you think. KrustyBCanuck67@gmail.com, or on Facebook, Krusty Canuck. Or you can reach me on Instagram at Canuck Krusty. Right? And if you feel like purchasing some items, you can find some of my merchandise at teespring.com, at stores, at Krusty Canuck merchandise. You know, buy a t-shirt, buy a mug, buy a hoodie, tank tops there for the ladies, stickers, other paraphernalia. By all means, knock yourself out. If you donate $5 to $10 a month on my Patreon page with Podbean or on Subscribestar, I will mail you a T-shirt of your choice. So send me your particulars of what you would like via the email I sent you, and we can go from there. Alrighty? So more of this race baiting crap we have to keep hearing all the time from these clowns. You know the liberals are failing when they're grim at the bottom of the barrel and they keep labeling people racist. Now, I don't know about you, but I've said this before numerous times in my videos and here in the podcast. I was not raised in a household where you judge people on their color. And I've actually known white supremacists in my youth. Trust me. Late 80s, early 90s, there was a rising of frickin' skinheads going out trying to recruit people in the name of so-called progress. And they were Nazis. They read Mein Kampf. Those fuckers read lots of nasty books about race and relations and sitting there trying to justify what Hitler did. And even at that time, in my brilliant little youth, my misspent youth, I knew the difference between what was right and what was wrong. Fascism is wrong, ladies and gentlemen. And guess what? So is communism. And guess what? So are the liberals. You know, just because someone leans conservative doesn't necessarily mean that they're fascist or racist or Nazis. In fact, I have seen more prejudice, more divide, right? More adversity coming from the left side of the spectrum than I have from the center or the right. Okay? So think about that, right? I've worked for numerous people from all walks of life: Polish, French, Jamaican, Brazilian, Uruguayan from Uruguay. I've worked for First Nations. I've worked with First Nations. I've worked with Asian people. I've worked with Jewish people. I've worked with diehard Catholics. I've worked with diehard atheists. Right? And the only thing that separated us, well, there was no separation, really. We're all the same because we're all in the same fucking uniform. Under the one flag, Canada. Right? So for any of you supporters out there who support Justin and his claws and his crony bullshit and his Laurentian elites and everybody else in his party based on parity, not an actual merit, well, think twice about voting for these clowns come October. Honestly. Really think hard and long about voting for these fucking clowns. Right? I'll leave more links in the description there, what the Rebel went through and the professional courtesy that some of the NMSM reporters had. But which brings me to another point about the whole racist thing. I'm not really going to weigh in too much about the Trump tweet because it's basically beating a dead horse. I'll leave a link to a gentleman by the name of Frank Vaughn, one hell of a commentator, independent reporter, blue-collar guy, common sense aficionado, and all-around good Canadian. And I'll leave a link to his work there on my page there. But he basically explains the tweet that Donald Trump promoted. And I've actually read the tweet myself. I'm not a Twitter follower. I just think it's a real joke and a waste of time sometimes. But I look at what he says. And, yeah, he was kind of borderline, but he didn't specify any kind of race or gender. He specified, you don't like it here? Go elsewhere. When you look at it, when you try to sum it all up, now how many of us teenagers were told that by our parents? You know, you don't like it, you can get the fuck out. Well, more or less I'm quoting Eddie Murphy from Delirious, but you get my drift, right? Really, you don't like it here? Go elsewhere, right? Here's a group of politicians that have done nothing but disenfranchise their country. Now, there might be some political spectrums I disagree with the United States, but if I was elected official representing whatever riding or district in their Congress, I wouldn't do anything bad to the flag. I wouldn't try to disenfranchise one group of people over the next, right? I sure as I wouldn't promote any kind of different religious law, and I wouldn't sit there and call immigration holdups as concentration camps, right? Think about it. To all the Cortezes out there, Omars, and all the other aficionados who are standing up for so-called rights and differences and diversity, you're not being too diverse yourselves, and you're not being tolerant, right? So regardless of what you personally think of what Trump's tweet is, I'm getting sick of beating a dead horse. Proof is in the pudding, ladies and gentlemen. He didn't say anything bigoted or racist. He said, you don't like it here? Go elsewhere. If you have all these answers, why don't you go back to where you came from and fix the problems there before you start worrying about here, It might be belligerent, might have been ignorant, but he made a valid point. And I'll leave Mr. Frank Vaughn's link at the end of the podcast here, so you can decide for yourselves. Right? I personally don't really care for Mr. Trump. Hey, he got voted in. Okay. He's a business person. He's hobgobbled with a lot of senior Republicans and a lot of senior Democrats. But in the same sense, he's done his own thing. And I have a bunch of American friends who, thank him dearly for what he's done for them. But that's them. This is me. This is Canada, ladies and gentlemen. Furthermore into the racial spectrum of Canadian politics. The Liberals are desperate when they keep pulling up that white supremacy flag. Now, 10 years ago, was this a problem? 6 years ago, was this a problem? Were there people marching in the streets talking about, white supremacy everywhere? Oh, my God, it's rearing its ugly head. Where? I challenge any liberal out there to tell me where these racial parties gather. Right? I challenge anyone out there to tell me, where are all these Nazis? Where are they? If they're lingering around, if they're protesting and causing trouble, let's go find them and destroy them. My grandparents fought real Nazis, ladies and gentlemen. They fought real fascists. What you're seeing right now is not fascism. You're seeing totalitarianism. You're seeing division brought to you by the so-called progressives. And yet they're not progressing. They're digressing. They're regressing. They're going back in time to control thoughts and actions and procedures, right? They'd rather deal with feelings rather than facts. They'd rather deal with your money instead of their own. They'd rather take your money and spend it elsewhere rather than our own here. Why can't these people spend money on the proper water filtration for the First Nations? Why aren't they investigating certain individuals in certain First Nations who are laundering money? Why aren't they looking after the Canadian environment? Why are they looking after Canadian industry? Why are they not looking after Canadian interest rather than a handful of elitist interest from the Laurentians? Yes, I've said it, the Laurentian elite. And that was actually quoted by somebody I had a conversation with last night at one of the political debates I was so privy to attend. But I'll save that for another story. Think for yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Come October, we can't let these fucking clowns get ahead anymore. I am sick and tired of this race-baiting bullshit. My best friend is First Nations. Okay? How can I be a racist? How can I be a fascist when I pick up a rifle for this country? How can I be any kind of totalitarian when I swore an oath to Her Majesty and to this nation, what we call a solemn affirmation, right? I don't know. Just I shake my head at some of these morons calling the shots, right? And some of these people even have the audacity to talk down to people because some of us don't have university degrees or any kind of college doctorate to prove our points. How do you prove common sense? Ask yourself that. How do you prove common sense? People go to work, pay their bills, mind their own business, want to do their own thing. The majority of Canadians that I have talked to are sick and tired of having to shell out more taxes for the sake of the Liberal Party's spending habits, And then the odd person pops up saying, well, Harper is no different. No, but we're not talking about fucking Harper now, are we? We're talking about what's been going on the past 3.5, almost 4 years now under this clown's fucking dictatorship, right? Do as we say, not as we do. We know what's best for you because we're the so-called officials. Yeah, well, Mr. Trudeau never finished college, right? He never finished university, right? And Miss Freeland, another example of silver spoon fed, right? Naive towards the Canadian people. Worldview may be. That being said, let's get these clowns out, okay? No more of this crap when it comes to, virtue signaling and trying to lead us to victory. They don't care. Now, I've talked to some conservative politicians yesterday, and they are surprised, too, how the Liberal turnabout has done such a big 180 over the past few years. I talked to a politician that's been involved with the Conservative Party now for close to 15 years. And he said the past 3 years he has seen such a dramatic change in what the Liberal policies used to stand for. All right? And I'm not saying I'm voting Conservative. I'm definitely not saying I'm voting Liberal. I'm not really telling anybody who I'm voting for. But I'm trying to find common sense here, folks. I'm trying to find leadership in this country that is actually going to take a stand for what is real and what is good for Canada, not just a handful of Quebecers or a handful of people from Ontario or a few East Coasters or this religious group or that religious group or this identity group. Canada as a whole. Out of 37 million people, how many people are getting screwed up the ass for the sake of identity politics or our government's overspending or this political correctness dogma that has been plaguing us for a very, very long time? I ask you that. Anyway, tell me what you think. CrustyBCanuck67@gmail.com or CrustyCanuck.ca or on Facebook, Krusty Canuck, or here on the Podbean or on YouTube. Anywhere. Please give me a comment. Tell me what you think. Share, like, click, subscribe, all that good stuff. Don't forget to click Mr. Little Red Bell there in the YouTube page. Let me know you're there, and you'll be alerted every time new content comes up. Let me know what you think, folks. Anyhow, back to the old media hoopla. More liberal BS. It's a fucking nightmare. But we shall persevere, right? We shall persevere. I do my best to be a good person to people. Right? I was not raised in a racist or bigoted household, and I will not be labeled as a white supremacist because I have an opinion against today's status quo bullshit. And I don't need a fucking university degree to fucking prove that either, folks. And neither should you. Right? And if any of my listeners out there have a degree in things, by all means, let's debate. Let's talk about things. Right? You know, I, for one, I'm not going to encourage anybody to go to university this day and age because you're finding good people like Lindsay Shepherd and Dr. Jordan Peterson getting ridiculed because of their opinions, right? They have to cause no physical harm to anybody. They haven't set fire or threatened any kind of terrorist action. They just have their own opinions. And look at the kangaroo courts they've had to go through to justify who and what they are. For what? Because a handful of people got offended, right? Well, to those kangaroo court sayers, fuck you. To those people that don't like Lindsay Shepherd, who don't, that's fine too. But you want to give people like that a hard time? Fuck you too, right? Don't let reality, smack you in the ass, and don't say, we didn't warn you, right? Anyhow, enough of that stuff. I'm getting tired of seeing good people get ridiculed and get fucked over because of political dogma, right? When I talked to those politicians last night, we had a good talk about military procurement and statistics and what should be done and how you have to cut things from the top, not the bottom, right? Like the old saying goes, too many chiefs, not enough Indians, right? Too many so-called know-it-all leaders out there who've never led a fucking day in their lives, who've never even fought their way out of a wet paper fucking bag. And yet they're telling me and telling my wife and telling my family, my friends, my loved ones, my listeners out there, what we have to do to overcome this and what we should pay to do this. No, I'm not paying no more. I don't expect you to either. My listeners and viewers out there, don't bother. I would highly recommend you don't pay taxes. Not until things change. But you didn't hear that from me. I'm getting so fucking tired of these clowns. Every other video I've ranted and raved now about the Liberal Party. I got to find some more subjects, but I'm just so furious. At just the sheer arrogance and ego that these politicians have to sit there and dictate that to us. Anyway, like I say, I'll leave the links in the description, and then you guys decide from there. You tell me what you think and formulate your own opinion. But as I said, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And if you can, please donate. Say again, $5 to $10 a month. I'll get you a free T-shirt if you dedicate a $5 to $10 a month subscription. I will mail you a T-shirt from my Teespring line. You donate $3 to $5 a month. And subscribe. I can't speak English right now. If you donate $3 to $5 a month, commit. I'll give you a coffee mug. If you commit $5 to $10 a month, I will gladly give you a T-shirt of your choice from the Krusty Canuck store. Or if you want to just buy it yourself, you can do that too. I'll leave the link at the end. And if you just want to donate, you can do that as well too. As I said, 30% of every donation and sale, I will graciously give to the Calgary Veterans Food Bank. On my behalf, your behalf, either or. I believe in kind of spreading the wealth to an extent, to a good cause. I'm not one of those people that says, I have to distribute the wealth. No, I'm a believer in helping people on your own accord, volunteering your own time. I don't believe that you should give 40% of your earnings to a government that's ungrateful and irresponsible. I don't believe you should give 40% of your earnings to anything that's going to fuck you in the ass or right up the chuff. Pardon my expression, ladies and gentlemen, dropping a lot of F-bombs lately, probably because I am really pissed off and how these so-called professionals are called leaders, and how there's still so many people that want to kiss their ass. Anyhow. Well, I guess I'll leave off on this note, ladies and gentlemen. It's been good. It's going to be a little while to make another video. So my viewers out there who enjoy my videos, my apologies. I'm still having some software issues, but I'll get that sorted out and rectified as best as I can. I'm actually in the looks. I'm talking to somebody right now in regards more graphics and a little more production value. So, and he's offered to do that pro bono until we start making some revenue, so which is a good thing. Anyhow, folks, on this beautiful July 16th, 2019, I hope all the best for you. I have been Krusty Canuck, and look after your friends and your loved ones. And remember, humanity and merit wins the day. Take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.